So welcome everyone. I'm Shapey, the co-organizer of MonteVIDEO Tech. Um, and yeah, I'm also at Qualabs, as you can see up here. Just some quick comment. We might have a couple of seconds of delay between what we see from the Zoom and when we talk. So in case people from the audience ask for a question, keep that in mind. That all the low latency kind of stuff is not there yet, but it's gonna get there at some point, and maybe we can comment on what was said during Mahai and segments. So welcome to MonteVIDEO Tech, and welcome to our first Mate Talk. Oh, sorry, let's see this side, Mate Talk. So the idea here was to make a different kind of meetup, maybe a fresher approach, not to have one speaker and PowerPoint presentations, and have maybe a roundtable. And the topic we wanted to cover today is the key takeaways from all the events we had in the industry in May. That was actually, let's say, full of really great events. We had MonteVIDEO first in Denver a couple of weeks ago. Then we had the first SVTA segments event in New Orleans. Yeah, go segments. And then the SVTA members meeting. And after that, we have the Streaming Media East in Boston. And some of us participated in 1, 2, or 3 of these events. And the idea was, like, let's share how, like, the experiences, and give you as also participants the opportunity to ask questions. So have the chat open there. And in case you want us to cover any specific topics or questions you have, feel free to ask at any time. So before we start, let me give Marco Bidones a minute so he does some quick presentation on ComCon, and it's an event that they will be hosting soon, and we gave them this promotional minute before we start with the Mate Talk.
Thanks, JP. Thanks for having me. So it's not much a presentation, just quick 2 words about ComCon. So it's an event. It's a conference we organized in the UK. It's about open media, video tech, and real-time communications, and it's the only residential conference in the space. So it means that it's a 3-day conference. Everyone's staying at the same hotel. Everything's included in the ticket, so conference, meals, hotel, entertainment, everything's there. So it's just a great way to learn the cutting edge of video tech and real-time media technology, but also it's a great networking opportunity for people to to just get to meet in person people that we might have been working with remotely or we haven't met yet. It's coming in June. I will send a link to our website in the chat now, and we're really hoping to see as many people as possible there, because we're really excited about. We have great content. This is the first time we also have people from open media speaking. Javi will be there, for example, and we're really excited to have so many people there and just spend some time together. We have some amazing activities for the evening planned as well, and it will be great fun. So come as many as possible.
Thank you so much, and Marco, and ComCon is a great conference. Unfortunately, I won't be able to attend to this one because I don't want to get divorced soon. But
that's a fair point.
Way too much.
Actually, it's 19th to 23rd of June. To answer to JP's concerns about marital life, we offer a significant other discount ticket that's only £350, and we'll give you hotel and meals and activities for your spouse or significant person. So just keep that in mind.
Awesome. Thank you, Marco, and great to have you here again.
Thank you.
It's not the same as having you in person here in February, but it was Cool enough. Great to see you again. Okay, so let's now kick off with the matter talk, and so let us introduce our speakers today, and thank you all very much, and thank you Mika and Agus and Emil for making these possible, making this happen, and happy birthday, Mika, because it was Mika's birthday yesterday. So we have Jason, Shati, as we all know him, from SVTA. Hi, Shati. We have Igor from Bit Moving.
Hey, everyone.
I think Igor participated in all the 3 events, right?
All 3.
That was such a road trip. Okay, Victoria from Alicard, how are you doing?
Hi, good, thank you.
And Alex Giladi from Comcast, and also co-organizer of MonteVIDEO. So maybe we can start with a quick round of introductions, who you guys are, what you do, what your roles are, and specifically with these events, why did you go to the events? And please, Shati, don't say because I organized it or Alex.
You just took my answer away.
Yeah. So maybe JT, you want to start? Who are you,
Sure.
and why did you go to these events?
Sure. So I'm JT. I'm the executive director of the Streaming Video Technology Alliance. So we started our first public conference this year, which was called Segments. We had wanted to do it in 2019. We had planned to do it in New Orleans at the time, and booked a hotel and all that stuff, and then COVID. So we kept kicking the can down the road, and finally now post-COVID, okay, we got to get this done. So we had that conference this year, and it went really well. I did not attend because I organized it. I attended it because my board told me I had to go. I'm just kidding. So obviously I was there. I had planned to go to Mile High as well. I've been to Mile High every year that it's been around. I just, unfortunately, because of some personal business, I had to cancel at the last minute, which really was a bummer. And then I would have gone to Streaming Media East as well, but of course we conflicted with it with our member meeting. So we're trying to make sure we don't do that next year. But anyway, our focus on Segments was a conference that catered to operational needs for streaming. So right now, lots of conferences either focus on the tech, and some like Mile High and DMUX very deep tech, and then some focus more on the business or the high level, like Stream Media East and Stream TV World and some of those folks. And so we wanted something kind of in the middle that helped people solve problems that they had in operating a streaming platform. So that's kind of what we tried to do. And I think even if I hadn't have organized it, I might have gone to it with that in mind.
Awesome. Victoria.
Sure.
Tell us who Victoria is and what you do.
Victoria Tuzova. Okay, my name is Victoria Tuzova. I'm with company Alicard. We develop and provide software for real-time transcoding, QS, QA monitoring, and in-depth analysis. And we attended Mile High Video this year in Denver, and it was not actually our first time there. That is, for us, it's like a great event to expand our professional network and to learn from industry leaders and like stay updated with the latest technologies and practices.
Okay, awesome. How about you, Alex? What do you have to say about this? I think you participated in was it Segments and MonteVIDEO?
Yeah. So fortunately, I'm married and want to stay married, so I couldn't go and do all the 3. I'm a Comcast fellow. Probably most of you know what Comcast is, and I'm leading a small group that does advanced technologies. It's mainly POCs of emergent tech, and it's video-related standards. And as JP already mentioned, I founded MonteVIDEO in 2016, and I'm running it since then, since 2017-18, with lots of help from Ali Begin and from Dan Grois, who are not here, but have to be mentioned.
Awesome. Last but not least, Igor. Who's Igor?
Yeah, I guess that leaves me. Hi, everyone. Igor Oreper. I'm chief architect for a company called Bitmovin. If you're not familiar with Bitmovin, we make some tools for video developers to build great streaming services. Those tools are in the space of video compression, playback, and telemetry. And I was fortunate, or maybe very, very excited to go to all three events. So I went to Mile High Video in Denver. Really great event. Alex, kudos to you, Ali, and Dan for putting that together, and for all the speakers. I would say, from my perspective, kind of similar to JT, Mile High Video was very, it's a heavy engineering focused event. So if you really want to understand the research and the numbers and the math behind all the great things we do in video, I think Mile High Video is a really fantastic event to go to, and also gives you a nice sense of what's coming in the future. So I think that's a really wonderful event for that. Then I went to Segments in New Orleans just for one day. I wish I could have stayed for the other the member working group sessions, but I spent one day in New Orleans. Really awesome event. Great job, JT, on putting it together. And I really like that it was a very much a practical application of technology. How do I do something, right? It's operational. And then I went to Boston for Streaming Media East for 3 days, and that was more about the business of video technology. Certainly there were technical sessions, but a lot of it was really about the business of it. And I found in particular the monetization and sort of subscription model talks at Stream Media East really interesting, and hearing about that from content providers, but also from the technology providers who provide these services. So I would say it was a busy couple of weeks, and I'm glad to be home.
Awesome. So it takes us time to organize these meetups. I can imagine how much and how the amount of effort it takes you guys to organize multi-day events, hosting hundreds of people coming in from all different places, having to arrange all the technical aspects, having to arrange the logistics, the hotel, the venue, the speakers, the content. So how is it for you, JT and Alex, to organize these conferences? In your case, Alex, with these success after so many years and people still coming back year over year, like how is it organizing it? How much energy does it take from you, and why do you continue to do that? Because I imagine it's exhausting.
So first of all, I enjoy it, and I enjoy people coming year over year, and I enjoy the talks and having people who invented things actually go and give a talk about them. So this year we had a talk by Alan Bovik, one of the people who invented VMAP and invented SSIM. So this is why I love doing this. It's a ton of time, and JP started from logistics, but logistics, despite taking a lot of time, is not the key here. The key is getting speakers, getting a program, and we have a pretty complicated process for this. So we have abstract submissions, then we have more than 20 people who review papers, and only after the anonymous review process, we select typically between 30 and 50% of submissions. So this was a huge amount of work, led this time by Dan Groys and Christian Timmer. So then there is... go ahead.
So is it hard to say no, I guess, because probably the other 70% not accepted. It's not that they're bad papers. I guess that there's a lot of stuff that it's cool. And so how is it for you also, like saying no?
This may actually make saying no much easier because it's not that you are making a decision. There are 5 people who are voting and who are explaining why they're voting for something. And if you don't understand the area, you can always delegate a review to someone else. So this keeps this really keeps quality, and this keeps us away from having really nice sales pitches, because this is something we're trying to steer away from. So this is actually, we started from inviting speakers, and then we realized that it's much better to have a selection process and not to make a decision in front of the person who is asking you to give him a speaking slot.
Excellent. How about you, Shady? How was the process for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's to Alex's point. Logistics, you know, I don't have to handle those, thankfully. So we've got folks in the organization who, you know, are really great at wrangling hotels and getting us the best deals and ensuring all that stuff. So the challenge really comes down to finding speakers. And for us, being a first year conference, you know, we basically went after a lot of, you know, folks that are in our membership and people that we know. And, you know, we had a goal of, you know, diversifying our speaker set, right? To be honest, we didn't want just a bunch of white men. We wanted to make sure that women were represented, women of color, people of color, you know, folks that have been marginalized, and you know, here's an opportunity to bring them in and allow them to speak. So, you know, we tried really hard to go find speakers, you know, in some cases to make sure that we remain diverse. And I don't think we hit our objective, but we got close, which is, you know, a great start. And I think we had close to a quarter of the attendees there were women. So that was great as well. But that's the really hard part, is finding speakers. And, you know, to Alex's point, we wanted to have a process in place where it wasn't just one person saying, yes, this is, like me saying, this is the program, all my friends are going to speak and no one else. You know, we wanted to make it a democratic process. And, you know, this time it was a little bit easier because, you know, we pretty much accepted, I think, 95% of our submissions because we were going out and finding people to speak. We actually expanded the program a little bit to allow more people to speak this time. But the next year we have a plan to have a committee, and, you know, probably be 5 people, and we'll be reviewing papers or reviewing submissions, and, you know, people will grade them on a rubric, and then you just go by the numbers. So that's, yeah, it's the really hard part is getting that program built. It can be not only time consuming, but really, you know, sort of anxiety driven when you're just like, I've got it, this has to work. And, you know, again, we had a very ambitious program too. All of our talks were like, you know, 10 to 15 minutes. So it was really a packed day, and shockingly we ended on time. So we ended exactly the time we were supposed to end at. And I mean, that was the crazy part. So yeah, programming is hard.
Excellent. And you mentioned your goal towards diversity. And Victoria, you were a part of the Women in Video panel at MonteVIDEO, together with Tamar and Denise, I think. So how was it for you, and why were you there? What were you looking for and what do you think when you were invited to be part of that? And maybe you can tell us more about your goal in Women in Video.
Sure, it's my pleasure to explain the situation there. The main purpose of this panel was to raise awareness and challenges of gender balance across the industry, and what initiatives have worked successfully and how to continue this journey of gender diversity, and what we can do as individuals or the community, what can do. And it looks like 5 of us just step forward and to take the initiative and address these issues and like this topic. So throughout the whole discussion, we dive into the various aspects, including like meaning of the diversity. In this context, we shared like historical notes and stats about this question concerning women and STEM fields, and also like we shared our personal stories and some business cases that demonstrate that diverse teams are much more efficient than homogeneous teams. So like we explore how, let's say, main community can amplify women voices and how men can actively support the women's community. So the main outcomes, to be honest, are that yes, we all face bias, and yes, like men community can definitely support women community, and that like the main outcome is that diversity is a key element to everything.
Awesome. So kudos to both Alex and JT, because both of you had definitely actually not only spoke about it but actually action about it. And personally, I think it's good to have that streaming as a topic in all the conferences, because I think that's the way towards actually having the topic on the table. So kudos to you. And I don't know if you want to comment on that, or if you want to move forward or make any questions, so I can drink some mate.
I would add on the diversity topic, also at NAB, there was a big focus on diversity and women in technology and broadcast technology. And I thought that was great. And I think in all 3 events, the one common theme that I heard was how to be an ally and an enabler, which I think is really important for really everyone to recognize that it's not just about, okay, now we're sharing this space with more people who are different than us, but also that we actually have a role and responsibility in enabling those people to be successful and amplifying their voices and ideas. And so I thought that was, probably not coordinated between those 3 events, but certainly a topic, in the community. So I thought that was great.
Thank you, Igor. And also I have like additional comment that we are like in Women in Streaming, we are working right now for the next speech at Stream TV in Denver.
Great.
Excellent. And Victoria, is there any place women working in streaming should go in case they want to be a part of it? Like,
sure, absolutely.
Social.
Yes, we have a website, and we have like a group over LinkedIn where you can apply and join the community very easily. So there are different kinds of application if you would like to have a mentor, or if you would like to be a mentee. So, and in which case you would like to be a mentee or a mentor. So like we are very welcome, and we are looking forward to new members.
Awesome. I'm going to be sharing the Women in Streaming website link in the chat in case someone wants to know more about it.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Victoria. So for the 4 of you, and so what if you had to say like what you were expecting from each event and what you got, like, so what were you looking for when you went, and was there any takeaways or anything you got from it that was totally unexpected? Maybe Igor, you want to comment on that?
Sure. So I guess I'll just go down the list. From Mile High Video, I mean, I've been to past Mile High Video events. I think I got exactly what was expected, which is knowledge, information, and connections to people, to Alex's point, who are actually creating, not just application of the technology, but the research and ideas and theories behind the technology. I think what I learned from Mile High Video that I wasn't expecting was media over quick. We started a little bit on that topic here even. You know, there are definitely some unsolved issues with video streaming over the internet as it exists today. And quick, you know, while a relatively new technology hasn't really been applied in the context of media or video. And just now those applications are starting to happen. And so I was very happy to hear, I think we had like 3 or 4 talks specifically about media over quick, application of media over quick. And so I see a lot of potential and growth there. So very excited about that one. And also, you know, the connections. So, you know, BitMovement has an office in Denver. I used to be based in Denver. We have customers and partners and prospects in Denver. So from a social networking and connection perspective, I was really pleased. You know, I was able to get a lot done in one place in the span of just a few days. For segments, I really didn't have any expectations, to be honest. You know, I looked at the program, it looked great. There was some good speakers, of course, and you know, as a member of the SVTA and sort of I would say a longtime follower and participant, it was interesting to see how much it's grown, because I sort of was engaged years back when it was still the SVA without the T, and over time I've kind of become disconnected, and then came back during segments and met you know, a lot of the same people, but also new ones. And it was really nice to see how much it's grown, and how it really is about application of the technology, right? That's what the working groups are focused on. And we saw some of those results in the talks during segments. I like the way it was structured, you know, very much like a video workflow or supply chain, right? From left to right. So I thought that made a lot of sense, and was just intuitive. And then at Streaming Media East, I've been to that show, I don't know, a dozen times, if not more. And you know, it's been around for a long time. I think it's changed quite a bit. I was interested in, there's a lot of new people. So some people, again, I've you know, you see every year, you sort of expect that that's a touch point where you're going to connect with them, but also a lot of new people, a lot of newcomers to Streaming Media East, which I found interesting. I didn't see as many content owners and providers at the show like I have in the past. So, you know, that was a little bit disappointing, but I still think it was a really good event. And like, again, I learned a lot on the monetization and business side of our world at that event. So I think those are my kind of big takeaways from the 3.
Whoa, what a least. Alex, do you have any comments regarding that?
I'm okay.
I can't hear you. Maybe you're muted or something.
I don't think I'm muted.
I can hear you.
Can you guys hear Alex? Oh, you
Yes.
can?
Mhm. Yes.
Maybe it's only me.
Yeah, I think he said no comments.
Oh, okay. So, and at a personal level, for me, you mentioned the connection, and to me that probably was personally unexpected, like how much we could connect, like breakfast and breaks and lunches and happy hours, you know. So we had an opportunity to share and connect more like on a personal level too, with a lot of people during a lot of time. That happened at both the segments and my high video. So, and actually that was probably unexpected and was really one of the greatest outcomes, to be honest. I don't know, how about you, Victoria? Like what were you like what did you take from the event that you were not expecting?
There were, like, I would say 3 elements that I was expecting as like technical topics and networking opportunities, and of course business development. So as for me, MonteVIDEO is like all these opportunities went hand in hand. So it was perfect for us to engage in casual conversation, and we discussed different like technologies and products. So gathering itself, it's like super resourceful and like with its usual welcoming atmosphere, I would say. And what happened that I did not expect, it's something that I wanted to share with you guys, because all panelists, including me, we were super surprised about the feedback that we received about our speech, because we received like very kind and very supportive feedback. We did not expect to hear it, and we wanted to express how it's necessary for us and how it's important for us to hear this feedback. Because some male colleagues, they just came to me and said that they had never thought about that. And now that they have deeper understanding of it, and some of them, they said that they had daughters, and now the thoughts are more relevant for them. So thank you for all who gave us feedback. It's very important.
Awesome. Congratulations for that. So it actually means that you impacted the audience the way you expected. Like you actually made all of us reflect on the topic, and yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Actually, the response to this panel was.
How about you, Shati? Besides Igor having no expectations on segments.
that's the thing. No expectations. No, again, the biggest surprise was that we managed to stay on time. Again, we packed the schedule. We did it in a way where everybody gave us their presentations. We ran everything from a central computer up at the podium. So people didn't have to, bring their laptops up and connect them. They'd just come up. We'd open the presentation up for them, and boom. We deliberately chose a format that we didn't provide an opportunity for questions after each presentation. And obviously there's things we want to change, for next year to facilitate more of an interaction between attendees and speakers. But we still, that was surprising. We still did have that. People still, went and found speakers during the break and said, hey, I had a question about your presentation, or, something that you said. So, that was also surprising that there were still moments of engagement where we were, to be quite honest, kind of deliberately trying to not have those during the course of the conference so that we could get through the program, in the entire way. But it worked out. It actually worked out very, very well. And so, yeah, surprising we stayed on time. Very excited about that. and then really surprising by, the kinds of engagement we had, and even the feedback of people. People were very excited. And right now we're putting together sort of an umbrella website for segments, which will always be there and provide information and, kind of recaps of the different years. And so we've got a bunch of video testimonials that we'll be posting and things like that. So as soon as we have that ready, we'll be able to communicate that out to everybody to kind of come see what data we've collected about the conference. But again, just all in all, it was very, very positive, everything that came out of it. And I'm still bummed I didn't get to go to Mile High. So I do really like that conference. That is a great conference.
They did do questions, by the way, at the end of each talk at Mile High. Just saying.
I just missed Yuri. I missed Yuri's calculus up on the screen. That's what I really missed. It's near and dear to my heart when he gives a presentation and the first thing that pops up is like, oh, well, look, it's derivatives. Oh, okay, here we go again.
Awesome. So thanks, Shati, for that. And I'm realizing that I'm not getting any feedback from Alex Audio. Probably that's a problem in my tool here. So Alex, if you want to make any comments, sorry, I probably interrupted you because I'm not getting your audio. But feel free to speak for the rest of the audience, not me. And please don't call names on me or anything.
Okay. So I hope JP doesn't hear me, but probably two things that surprised me at Mile High were first the tutorials. And, tutorials were to a degree an afterthought, and we expected maybe 50 people. We had 94, and the tutorials were really good. So there were 4 tutorials. Daniel Silhavi from Focus gave probably the best Dash tutorial I was ever read. There was a tutorial by Jan Ozer about video encoding. There was a tutorial by Netflix about the practicalities of using VMAP, and this tutorial was voted as best tutorial by the end of the conference. So, and some of the responses that I got were that this was one of the more useful days for practical engineers from the Denver area here. The other surprise was the Women in Media panel. It's something that Tamar, one of our co-chairs, came up with, and I was surprised how well did it work. And last surprise was that everybody was on time.
Well, so I could hear you because I joined the Zoom audio, so I could get feedback from the Zoom. So, and yeah, personally, the tutorials were amazing and pretty interesting. In particular, I think the BMAP tutorial was also like a hot topic and raised a lot of questions from the audience. So, yeah, definitely something. And I think that maybe it's something in between, say, segments and the Mahai. Like it was like the practicalities and the implementation of all the technologies you were talking about. So I can see how the dots connect.
Actually, this is how Mile High started. Mile High started as a series of tutorials on MPEG Dash back in 2016.
Awesome.
And it took 7 years to get the Dash tutorial, right?
Actually, the tutorials the first time were really good, and it was co-located with the Dash Industry Forum meeting. So this is more or less same thing as what JT did this year with segments, but at a far smaller scale. Had only 5 speakers. Who, by the way, went over time.
Excellent. So, yeah, so I was definitely surprised by the same things you mentioned with the tutorials on the panel, the women's stream panel. Personally, it was actually I was surprised by the reaction it got and how got all of us thinking about it. And so now, maybe you'd like to ask the audience if you have any questions before it's like I continue with the things we had, or maybe you guys, JT, Igor, Victoria, Alex, after listening to the others' insights, you have questions or something in particular.
Just about the other panel, AI-based technologies in video coding and streaming was also very interesting. And also engineering and visual neuroscience was very interesting.
And this was one of my favorite talks, along with the quick session.
Mm-hmm.
I'll add, so on the media over quick sessions, there were at least 3, maybe 4 sessions at Mile High Video on that. And it was interesting because at the beginning, I think when everyone realized they hadn't really coordinated what they were going to talk about at each of those sessions, they were very sort of apologetic and open that, okay, none of this is coordinated. You may hear things twice. You may hear conflicting things. It was almost like, you know, they were really concerned about it. But I found that it worked out quite well. I think the sessions complemented each other. You know, the speakers sort of referenced each other in the sessions and had fun with it. So I would just say, you know, if they ever see this session, or for anyone, I think it's okay that these kinds of things are not coordinated, because you know, as an audience member, you expect to hear maybe differing opinions, or you know, conflicting ideas or complementary ideas, right? I mean, that's just kind of how the stuff works naturally. So, you know, it doesn't have to perfectly fit together, and probably will work out.
I'm actually taking notes. I'm going to steal this idea of workshops. Like, I'm sorry, it's not theft, it's research. I'm doing some research here for future SVTA stuff. But I was just thinking, what would be really cool to have like a half-day workshop on media over quick at some point, right?
Yeah.
So just to sort of bring everything together, because like IETF's doing their stuff, you know, we're starting to explore some of it, you know, other folks are exploring it. I think that's, you know, that's great that they all kind of coordinated almost like post, you know, being accepted, but it would be great to sort of collect all the information on some key topics, maybe throughout the year, like attach it to an event like Mile High, or attach it to an event like NAB or IBC or something, but do a like one-day workshop on media over quick, or a one-day workshop on stream security, or a one-day workshop on, you know, something else. So anyway, just, you know, got me thinking.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, you know, it's especially for topics that are in active development, right? Where maybe standards are not yet formed.
Yep.
Because you have all these experts from looking at the same topic from different angles and for different applications. So take advantage of that. I like that idea.
Yeah, I like the idea of everyone coming together and sort of pooling their knowledge to talk about this topic and what's being worked on and discussed, and that of course generates more ideas, and people leave going, I'm gonna go try this. And yeah, it's all good for everybody.
Totally. So Alex and JT, are you planning like any changes, any, let's say, if moving forward based on what you learned from the outcomes of these year events? Are you planning any changes for 2024? Say hosting both events at the same city, same week, or something?
Somebody's been talking. Yeah, Alex and I had a good conversation with a couple other folks at our event, and we talked about the idea of co-hosting them next year. You know, so having segments in Mile High, you know, in Denver, and you know, then us having our member meeting right after, and kind of worked out and sketched out a little plan. And you know, we're gonna keep talking about it, you know, and kind of looking into the different logistics of it. But it actually works out really well. And you know, from our perspective, from the SVTA, we are trying to host all of our events next to other events. So, for example, our member meeting in Q3 this year, Q4, will be in Prague right before IETF Prague. So we don't want our members to have to travel, you know, bunches of different places to sort of do our stuff and do all the other things they want to go to. I mean, I want to go to these events too. Like I always go to Demux, I always go to Mile High. And so it'd be easier if our stuff is coordinated. So we are having those discussions, and, you know, we have some ideas about, you know, segments in terms of improving things that we did and things like that. But most definitely one of our keys is trying to figure out if we can work more closely with like Mile High and get together with them so that we can just bring the whole community together in 1 week.
So I hope that we'll do our next Mile High in Q1, so before NAB this time, and have a whole week of Mile High and SVTA.
That would be awesome for my agenda and also for my
Your
budget.
marriage?
I have to say, Denver in May is better than Denver in March.
Unless you like to ski.
It's true. That's a good point.
Come out a couple days early, stay a couple days late. Yeah, I will definitely be.
No, stay a couple days late in case you break your legs.
Oh, that's a good point. You don't want to break your leg for the conference. You don't want to be walking around the conference on crutches. That would be terrible. Good point. Stay a couple days after.
Well, actually, that happened to the Streaming Media East organizer.
It did?
Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, unfortunately. I think he trapped on something on the street, so he was
Pothole.
So
Boston has a lot of potholes.
Yeah.
I think he said 6,000 potholes, something like that. Yeah, that's a bummer.
So that was Eric?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
It was just his birthday yesterday. That's a lousy birthday present.
Yeah.
Ouch. Oh. Sorry.
He was in good spirits.
And mostly announcing that it was his last Streaming Media East as an organizer.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really focused on ideas and Norsk, and yeah, it's again like kind of what Alex and I talked about. It's tough to program a conference, man. It is time intensive. So
Definitely. So I see in the audience Barry that participated at least in my and segments. I see. Who else was there? I saw Nicolas well, but I don't see him now. Oh, I see you, Nicolas. You participated in segments too. Any comments? Any questions you have?
Yeah, hello. I think I was a bit surprised by the lack of Q&A session, because I think that's part of the value of like conferences. So I guess JT has got the message for next year.
yep.
Of course, yeah, we had great conversations after the sessions and everything, but yeah, I think that would be a real improvement to have some form of a Q&A directly after the talk. And if you look at how DMOX is doing it, they use Slack to collect the questions, and then Matt or another moderator is like working on the stage and like picking like maybe 4 or 5 most relevant questions. So I think that's a great way to also make sure that the each presentation doesn't go too long, so that we have a timing to respect. So I think that would be great to look at this for next year. But yeah, definitely, yeah. But yeah, that was. I think we appreciated all of us, like the fact that the positioning of segments was, as JT said, was different than the other conferences. So there was more like a practice oriented and also like feedback on like operational considerations. So yeah, that was interesting from this perspective. And yeah, also we had like different topics that you cannot really hear everywhere, like especially like David Asun talked about like multi-sourcing. So that was something that I think that was one of the first public talks for this topic. So very, very interesting. And so that was great to have this opportunity to listen to this. And I mean, overall, yeah, segment was a great place for discussing like content steering, like multi-CDN switching, QE evolution, like everything that is happening around like request tracing. So that's a very interesting conference. And of course, the SVTA meeting that was following segments was really a great one. So yeah, I'm really thankful also for the fun that we had there, like the parade, like the marching band to the social event. That was, man, that was incredible. And I think that's part of what makes like the difference between a good conference and a great conference is also all the social aspects and the fun that you put around like the talks and the presentation. So yeah, definitely that was really good. So I'm looking forward for the next edition, and it's even better if it's like co-located with Mile High. That's gonna save tons of marriage. I can tell you.
Thanks. Yeah, and I've already been thinking about how do we do quick Q&A, like, and I like the way that DMUX had done it, so I think that's probably similar to how we'll do it next year. But yes, the idea is to definitely build that in. It was missing.
Yeah, Nicola, you reminded me about content steering, CDN switching. That was a topic at all 3 events. And I thought it was a bit odd, or maybe I shouldn't think it's a bit odd, but everyone had a different solution. And there is some standardization that's sort of starting, but I feel like there's not enough traction there, right? I mean, Dolby's got a unique approach that they're bringing to market with their XCD solution. There's some standardization. I don't know if it's CTA Wave or IETF, and then it's like everything else, right? There's so many different approaches to content steering, and I really wish there was a little bit more collaboration there between everyone involved to steer in one direction, maybe, right? Because it's otherwise it's just everyone's going to do it their own way. And I think this is a problem that's ripe for standardization.
And it's actually happening now.
Yeah, with a small group of people it is, and then everyone else is off doing something else somewhere else. So it would be good to kind of pull them towards the standardization, I think.
But who is everyone else? That's the question. Because Dolby is clearly coming with an approach that is radically antagonistic to the standardized or ongoing standardized like content steering. But apart from that, who are the other actors like who are like really like playing aside of the standardized game here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth going through all the talks at all the 3 events and maybe putting everyone on one email chain and suggesting that they start working closer together.
Well, actually, during Streaming Media East, I heard someone from Harmonic proposing also like a totally new way to do CDNs, like without CDNs. So that was actually new to me, like destroying the CDNs and using only the operators and harmonic technology, something. So yeah, I had the same feeling of like content steering as a standardization, and then people talking about like new ways or potentially new ways of doing it. But yeah, probably 80% wasn't content steering at the standard.
So Igor, to your point, this sounds like a workshop that should happen. Like, just because I was blown away by Dolby's approach. I was like, that's really smart. Like, I really think it's an intelligent, interesting way to approach it. It's definitely different than other ways, and now you have content steering being built into protocols like HLS, and now Dash is doing content steering. So you're right, everyone's sort of doing it and approaching it differently, and even we're doing some work on it, right? Like Lumen donated code to the SVTA for client-side load balancing. So you can do it client-side, you can do it server-side, you do it in the protocol, you do it Dolby's way. I think you're right. I think everyone needs to come together, and if not share information, share approach, and just kind of talk about like what's how do we do this? And I know that Dolby's approaching standards, right? They're working with Etsy, so they're trying to move that into a standard. But again, it doesn't mean anybody's going to adopt the standard. So just because it's a standard doesn't mean it's going to get used. So I think it would be really beneficial to the industry to get everyone in the room together, or virtual room, and talk about it.
So one interesting thing, if I may, is that the HLS way that you mentioned is exactly the same as the Dash way.
Yes,
it's
yeah.
From the HLS syntax, and then we ported this into Dash initially as Dash Industry Forum, and now as MPEG. So next edition of MPEG Dash will include content steering already.
Yeah, which I like. I think it's that, and that's great. There's the coordination that we need. But again, to the point. I mean, there's definitely different ways to do this, and it'd be interesting to have a good day discussion presentations to talk about the different approaches. I'm stealing it. I'm going to do it.
I think you should. I think it would be a great one for a workshop.
Yeah.
During the co-located mile high end segments.
Aha! So that's an excellent idea. Yes. Okay. See, everything comes together. All comes together.
So it would be like a manifest, with all the segments. So let's try to close this. We've been talking for an hour. Any final questions before we do our closing remarks?
I have a question. I think the idea of, can I just jump in? Are you cool with that?
Sure, totally.
You guys hear me fine? Okay. My question would be, I like the idea of being co-located so people don't have to pull off what Igor did and try to be in 3 cities in 3 days and have to miss some of one or the other. But just as a attendee, it would be really interesting not only to coordinate topics, but to have a better understanding of what is the differentiator. If you're all going to be within 1 week, is Mile High going to be a little bit lower level and a little bit more nuts and bolts? Is segment going to be different? Help, I guess, think through that so that it would be easier for those of us that are attend. Maybe we don't attend both. Maybe we attend one and understand what we're getting out of it. Does that make sense? Does the question make sense? Or maybe it's just a suggestion question.
It's kind of a little of both. No, I think that makes sense. Just like I was just talking about doing workshops and coordinating, stuff like that. I think, we probably should figure out a way to coordinate amongst the conferences. How do we make sure people are getting the most value out of these events? Of course, part of that problem too is some of them are for profit, right? They're specifically so that they're unfortunately probably not going to play nicely. I mean, wait, we're going to do what we want to do. But it's a very good point. Yeah. So, especially like what I said before that Alex and we've started to have this conversation about co-locating. We've actually talked a little bit about how do we coordinate the topics to make sure that, folks who would normally go to Mile High wouldn't end up at, wouldn't hey, I'm not going to go to segments because I'm getting that at Mile High, or I'm going to go to segments, I'm going to skip that day at Mile High. How do we coordinate those things? So we are talking about that as part of the idea of co-locating. But it's a very good point and a valid suggestion.
Cool.
I wish I had an easy answer. Yeah.
Never easy. Thank you.
Thanks for the suggestion. I think it's actually good, totally. But personally, I participated in all 3 events, and I think there are 3 very differentiated events. Personally, I heard the technical, more say research kind of stuff than the practical approach, operational approach, and they're more of the industry and the media and entertainment industry mostly on streaming media. So I think it's a good cocktail having all the 3 conferences in an order.
But there are what, a dozen more conferences during the year. I mean, it's what, it's so much travel time, so much budget. You've got to spend and coordinate wisely, and so it would be really helpful to be able to to segment the conferences, and carve them up into into really sort of big topical buckets, so that people have a better sense of I really need some practical help on these problems. I'm gonna go to that one. Oh no, I really need to understand these monetization models. Oh, I'm gonna go to that one. And then there's some that do crossovers, like Stream TV World. It's a great conference. I love a conference, but it sort of this kind of mix of business and engineering, and so it's kind of like, well, do I go to that one? It's just it's a good question and a valid suggestion, and it's something I think the industry needs to get better about.
Certainly, and in particular, I heard a couple of talks that were kind of repeated, you know, like the less accord on streaming, grading of streaming. Maybe that was sort of a repeated kind of pitch
It was, yeah.
that maybe
I mean,
could
he's
have
just,
had like
yeah, he's just
different
trying to-
approaches.
Yep, he's trying to reach different audiences. So yeah, I understand that one's a little
Yeah.
unique because he's you know, it's really pitching this program rather than a conversation about sustainability.
I mean, actually, I think it also could be done from the technical standpoint, from
Yep.
the operational standpoint, from the business standpoint. So there are three angles on the same topic.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely, yes, agreed.
And so before we finish, I also want to shout out to you, because one of the things I hate the most about living home for a couple of weeks is also eating terrible food. And you both had like healthy food during the conferences. And that's not normal in the conferences. Normally you eat sandwiches all day long.
Yeah. It's nice to have catered food, good
Thank you
catered
for
food at a
thinking
conference.
about it.
It really does make a difference.
I completely agree.
So, sorry, Alex.
I was just going to say that I completely agree with this. Made a difference. We had boxed lunches before because of COVID, and it's a huge difference.
It's all about the food.
Excellent.
And the marching band.
Excellent. So, yeah, and the marching band was cool. I received all the photos and videos.
It's an experience. If you've ever been to New Orleans, you've seen them on the streets marching through, but being in one is cool. You know, the police are blocking the streets and nobody gets mad because they're like, well, this happens just as New Orleans. And so you're marching along and having a good time. And yeah, Flora does an absolute fantastic job for our member meetings of finding cool things to do for our social events. So hats off to her. She does a great job. We have a lot of fun every member meeting that first night.
So let's try to close this event with the closing remarks. So who wants to start with their key takeaway from this conversation?
I'll go. You need to have questions after speakers. That's my key takeaway. And yes, we'll be doing that next year. Point taken.
I'll go next. There are a lot of events, and it's important to, especially now, to be more judicious about which ones you go to and why. So as event organizers, you all already do a good job letting people know what your events are about, but certainly keep doing that and do more of it.
Definitely.
Okay,
For
I
me, the
think
importance. Okay.
I'm sorry. I just want to thank everyone, like organizers, because it was like a great job and it's great resources to do that. And also the key takeaway is collaboration. So we should collaborate, all of us.
Thanks, Victoria. How about you, Alex?
So for me, also the importance of dates and scheduling. I think the takeaway from the two events we attended was that we need to go and collocate and have people dedicate a week to series of meetings.
Awesome. Probably my key takeaway is that we were traveling for 2 weeks. It was a long trip for us, away from home. And yet we never felt alone. We had a lot of people around. Everyone welcomed us a lot. Loved the dinners, the breakfast, the lunches, the conversations. as well as all the content that was incredible and mind-blowing. And just the fact that you guys are here today for a full hour sharing your experience, thank you very much. It means a lot to us.
You posted some cool pictures too.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you guys very much for participating. It's been amazing having you guys here.
Thanks all.
Thanks
for
for the
organizing, JP.
Thank you.